Ladies and gentlemen of the Action Army, what is going on? And welcome to another episode of Answers for Athletes. In today's video, the individual who asked this question, their name is in another language, but they said, can you make a vid, please, on reps left in the tank and percentage numbers? What is the benefit of reps left in the tank or reps in reserve, not going to failure every single exercise and not giving 100% every single exercise? So essentially, what is the point of reps in reserve? This is a good question, and I have a good answer for you. But before I give you that answer, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your question down below if you want me to answer your question in a video just like this. And there's a link down below in the pinned comment and the description of this video with access to my advanced training programs. If you want to maximize your vertical jump, your explosiveness, your athleticism, click that link, check out my programs. I will take you to the next level. But here we go. What are reps in reserve, and what's the point of reps in reserve? And do I ever program reps in reserve? I'll add my 2 cents there as well. So reps in reserve, you can think of, let's say that we are doing a back squat, just for an easy example, and I say do as many reps as you can, but leave 3 reps in reserve, right? So if I say go to failure, that means you're going to do as many reps as you can until you fail, until you cannot do another rep. But if I say leave 3 reps in reserve, that means you go all the way until you are about 3 reps away from failure. So for this, you have to be a little bit intuitive, and you're kind of just guessing. I think I could probably do 3 more reps, but I definitely couldn't do 4, so I'm going to stop it here. So that is 3 reps in reserve. So let's say for a back squat, you could do 13 reps with a given weight, but you only do 10. That is 3 reps left in reserve. So what is the point of reps in reserve? There's 2 main purposes that a coach or you or an athlete should ever use reps in reserve. The first one is just injury prevention, right? If I say do a back squat to failure, hopefully you're using the safety bars on a back squat. So even if you fail, you're going to be fine. But like a deadlift, any compound movement, if I say go to failure, it is much more risky if you fail. With auxiliary exercises, it's not as risky. There was an individual, Stud End, who actually made a comment after that, the name in a different language asked the question, and he said, imagine just doing a back squat to failure, but then imagine doing a lying hamstring curl to failure. There is way less risk on failing with a lying hamstring curl than there is with a squat, a deadlift, a bench press, a bigger compound movement, etc. So that is the first thing. It is less risky. So reps in reserve allows you to do good, effective reps, but then stop a couple reps shy of failure. The second is to avoid central nervous system fatigue. So if you're going to failure every single rep, or every single set, you are going to be taxing the central nervous system more than if you left some reps in reserve. So there's arguments on both sides if your goal is hypertrophy as to, you have a bunch of, trainers and coaches and YouTubers and researchers who are all for training to failure. And then you have a bunch on the other side who say you can get the same amount of muscle growth with leaving reps in reserve and then not taxing the central nervous system as much. And, it is pretty much the same for athletic performance. You're going to tax the nervous system less when you leave reps in reserve. This is not to say that you should always leave reps in reserve and never train to failure. But for example, for my athletes, when we train to failure, it is normally low rep, right? So if you're training to failure at higher reps, that is more taxing on the central nervous system than training to failure at lower reps. All right. So if we do a back squat for a 1 rep max back squat or a 3 rep max back squat, that is going to be taxing on the central nervous system, for sure. But if I say do 30 reps of a back squat to failure, like, which is going to be very hard to calculate. But like when I used to do bodybuilding shows, I would so much rather do 315 pounds on a back squat and go to failure because the reps are going to be way lower than put 135 on the bar and go to failure because the reps are going to be way higher, way more taxing on the central nervous system, way more taxing on my muscles and my tendons. 135 to failure, which I used to do, used to crush me. Talk about barely being able to walk when you leave the gym. 135 got me way more than 315 got me. So the first thing, reps in reserve, is going to allow you to still get very effective reps without the risk on your compound movements, risk of injury. And then also it's going to be a slightly less taxing on the central nervous system, which we understand that if we want to jump as high as possible, the central nervous system has to be fresh. But also, if we want to jump as high as possible, we need to beat the shit out of our central nervous system and then allow it to recover and get fresh. So you got to be careful with how you're training. I would say even if you do train to failure or you're going to leave reps in reserve, you got to always be making sure that you're leaving that room for recovery so that the adaptations can occur anyways. One quick example of, I don't use reps in reserve very often, but one quick example of when I did recently is I coach an athlete online and he trains at home, and I wanted to program rear foot elevated split squat, and he does not have enough weight to do rear foot elevated split squat in a way that is going to really force strength adaptations. So for this phase of our program, we are going to 3 reps left in reserve. So he doesn't have a ton of weight. This is a way for us to really get some strength / hypertrophy gains with a rear foot elevated split squat. You do as many reps as you can with the weight that you have, and you go until 3 reps in reserve. Whereas if I just said do 5 reps of rear foot elevated split squat, that would be, I don't know how many reps in reserve that would be, but it wouldn't be enough of a stimulus to really get him gains. So anyways, those are my thoughts on reps in reserve. I don't use them as often as other coaches, but they can definitely be beneficial in certain phases of your training, especially beginner phases, when you are first learning to train, when you're going through a phase where you're trying to increase capacity of your muscles, your tendons, a volume phase, a general strength phase, a building phase, etc. But anyways, I'm going to end it here. That's my thoughts on reps in reserve. Like this video if you like it, subscribe to the channel, leave your question down below if you want me to answer your question in a video just like this, and click that link down below in the description and the pinned comment of this video and get access to my advanced training programs. We got Beyond the Rim 1, Beyond the Rim 2, Beyond the Rim 3, Beyond the Rim Strong and Bouncy, Project Plyo, the Vertical Jump Secret System, any program that you need, and we have an in-season program, any program that you need to take your athleticism to the next level. If you want everything, all the sets, the reps, the exercises, the progressions, the periodization, if you want that all programmed for you so that you take the guesswork out of it, click that link and get one of my programs, and I will take you to the next level. But anyways, I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.